Welcome to our virtual built-in oven class. Today, we're going to be going over the electric full-size dual convection ovens. They'll have quite a few different modes. So the goal for today is to explain to everyone what each of those modes does, how it works, and what we should cook on it and why. Okay, so that's the main goal of the class today. Along with that, of course, we're going to talk about cleaning, taking care of it, and any other extra questions that I believe a few of you sent in. I'm going to cover all of those as well. Okay, so my name is Alyssa, Chef Alyssa here in the Salt Lake City showroom. We've got Yvonne behind the scenes helping me keep things running smoothly, and Abby behind the camera and the computer, who is going to be helping us keep up with any questions or comments. So what I would ask is throughout this class, if you have a question, I know we'd love to hear your voices, but it makes the Zoom meeting a little hard to hear and understand. So if you have something to say, please just type it in the little chat box. Abby will read those out to me, and then that way I'll be able to answer or comment on whatever you guys have said. We'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to hear questions. Don't be shy, okay? So I think with that, we're ready to jump right in to our class, right? All right, so we are actually going to start talking about the modes in the oven, okay? Our first mode, I'm actually just about to finish up. It is going to be our bake mode, okay? So to start, I need to explain something about the Wolf ovens. There are 4 different heating elements. The 4 different heating elements are going to give us different cooking environments, and they're going to cook things differently, obviously depending on what mode is happening or what food you want, and the mode is going to affect that, okay? So I'm going to explain which heating elements are coming on for which modes, and then therefore you can kind of determine how you want to cook things. So our first one is going to be, I'll just grab it. Our first one is going to be the bake. And I'd say I like to start with this one because this is the standard go-to, what everyone thinks of when they think of an oven, because generally most other brands, the bake mode is just the regular. It's what you're used to. It's most of the heat is going to be coming from the bottom heating element, and you're going to get some from the top heating element as well. Okay, so I'd say maybe about 80-20 bottom heat, some from the top. So things are going to cook obviously from the bottom up. Therefore, this is not a mode where you would want to do multiple trays. However, what I have cooked today, and I'll show you right now, these gorgeous, gorgeous roasted roasted ovens, okay? So we've got these beautiful caramelized onions, and I want to mention, I don't know if you guys could see from that angle, I had these on the bottom rack, roasting like this, okay? And I had them on the bake mode. So if you think about it, what my goal here was to get these as browned and golden and beautiful and flavorful, oops, I'm trying to figure out where the camera is, as I could. If all of my heat is coming from the bottom heating element, you're gonna get a strong blast of concentrated heat, and that's gonna give you these gorgeous, and I'm gonna grab a little spatula here, these gorgeous caramelized little babies, okay? So I'm gonna flip this one so you guys can see how caramelized, well, they just fell apart. You can see how beautifully the other side is caramelized because of that direct heat and contact with the pan. So that is our first mode, the bake mode. It obviously can do a great job being utilized for baking cookies, for baking one cake, for roasting one tray of vegetables, anything like that. It's going to be that concentrated heat on the bottom, and it's going to get obviously less powerful as you move up. However, the whole oven will heat and get to that preheated temperature. You're just going to have more concentration of heat on the bottom rack. So that is our bake mode, okay? I used it to caramelize onions. I wanted very strong, concentrated heat. I wanted to really caramelize those things. So I utilized that mode because I knew exactly how the heat was going to work. Any questions on the first mode? It's very simple and straightforward. I would say the goal of today is we want everyone to be comfortable enough to move away from the idea of bake at 350, because that's what is the, I'd say, almost universal go-to mode and temperature, which is great for baking cookies and cakes. But now we're going to learn how to utilize the bake mode at 500 degrees to roast some beautiful caramelized onions. So that's what I did. Onions, olive oil, salt, 500 degrees on the bake mode, bottom tray, and you get these gorgeous browning. Okay, any vegetable would work well with that method if you want really, really, really intense browning. Okay, so that is the bake mode. The next mode we're going to talk about is actually, I would say, almost the reverse of the bake mode. It's called roast. So that idea of the heat from the bottom, some from the top, we're going to kind of flip that on its head. We're going to get more heat from the top and less from the bottom. Okay, this is a mode that is going to be great for roasting. I'd say obviously roasting meats also can be good for roasting vegetables as well. But I'm going to showcase it today by showing you a slow roasted miso salmon. So I've got this beautiful side of salmon. I've made a miso mixture with miso and some tahini, some rice wine vinegar, a couple other ingredients. And it's going to give it sort of a sweetness and a salty umami-ness. We're going to then cook our salmon, and I'm actually going to utilize an oven that's right here, and I'll show you which mode over there. But we are going to cook it in our oven on the roast mode at 275 degrees. This is a slow roast method for fish. I don't know if anyone out there has tried it, but in my opinion, this is one of the better ways you can cook fish at home, because you are not going to have stink. Your house isn't going to smell like fish. You're not going to have the fear of overcooking your fish, because salmon especially, it's very easy to overcook it. And once it's overcooked, it becomes dry and not very flavorful, not very enjoyable to eat. This is sort of a much safer way to cook the salmon, where you're not going to overcook it as easily. Okay, we want the delicate heat from the top more than the strong heat from the bottom, because we want to cook it with something like meat. You almost want to cook it more from the top down versus bottom up, because we want that browning. And if you overcook the bottom through the bottom, you're not going to get as much browning on top. So that's what our roast mode is doing. Now remember, I'm slow roasting, so we're not going for a browned caramelized situation here. I just want a beautiful, delicate cooking of the salmon. And it's going to give that fish time for the fats to melt down and kind of flow out into the rest of the fish, so it stays moist and tender and flavorful. Okay, so roast. Great for slow roasted fattier cuts of meat or fish. You could do pork shoulder. You could do a very large turkey, like a big 25-pound turkey. You could utilize the roast mode. If you're doing one tray of roasted, you want to do roasted potatoes, that's a great thing to do. Put it on the top rack, and you'll get that browning on your potatoes as they are roasting. Get a little more concentrated from the top. Okay, so that's our roast mode. Think of where the heat is going, how it's cooking. We had roast top to bottom, and bake is sort of bottom to top. All right, those are so far our two main modes. No questions so far? Okay, so that is our roast, that is our bake. We are now going to talk about, I'd say, the, is it the best mode? We'll talk in a second. The convection mode. Okay, we've talked about 4 heating elements, but so far, what I've said, we've only discussed 2 different heating elements being used in different modes. The convection mode, we're now going to utilize the last 2 heating elements. So there is a heating element directly in front of each fan. And remember, it's a dual convection oven. So we have 2 fans, 2 more heating elements, and they're directly in front of those fans. This is a very, very important thing to remember, think through, and utilize, because now with convection, anyone knows, usually I would ask, what does that mean? It means moving air. Convection is just the fans turning on. The air in the oven is now moving around. It's no longer sitting still. That moving air is very important, because it actually ends up cooking through your food hotter and faster. It's like penetrating through surfaces much more efficiently. You can think about that, and when you live in a windy city or the windy city, you know what I mean. Cold feels a lot colder. Hot feels a lot hotter. That's because of that moving air. It's very effective at getting through things. So convection, first thing to remember is it's going to cook faster and hotter. So our general rule of thumb, and I'm showcasing this with 3 trays of cookies, all 3, okay? 3 at a time. But when you bake cookies, as we said earlier, the general rule of thumb is 350 degrees at about 350 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes here. And usually you can only do 1 at a time and you're gonna have to rotate a lot. Here, I'm doing all 3 trays. My temperature's at 325 degrees. So about 25 degrees less. Always, when you're using convection, you can think about decreasing your temperature about 25 degrees. Okay, it'll be much more accurate this way. And we're gonna get these out about 25% sooner. So I've got my cookie sheets in here. Oh, we had 1 pan in here that we did not need. Open. Got it. Okay. And then I'll put in our other 2 trays. And now I have 3, you guys saw 3 trays of cookies all in one place. Okay. 325 degrees. Instead of 12 to 15 minutes, these are going to be done in about 8 to 10 minutes. We'll watch for them. Okay. So these are beautiful little tahini everything cookies. They've got a lot of fun flavors and textures. They've got walnuts and tahini and cacao nibs, toasted coconut, sesame seeds, and lots of dark chocolate, like a lot of dark chocolate, pools of dark chocolate. Okay, so they're really, really fun cookies. And notice, neither I nor Yvonne is gonna come back and have to move the trays up and down because we are not utilizing either the top or bottom heating elements. There's no discrepancy there. All the heat is coming from the back and being pushed out evenly with those fans. Okay, so top to bottom heating on the convection mode is very even. This is straight convection. Now, I have to mention someone had a question about their oven not heating evenly. And I believe she is using the convection mode. So I will say, your oven, think about it, top to bottom, I shouldn't say I guarantee, but because you can never make full guarantees in life, but top to bottom, it's probably quite even. If you're using the convection mode, and especially if you're at a little bit higher temperatures, if you're cooking something a little more sensitive, something that's very obvious, with a lot of obvious browning, you might find that the back of the oven tends to brown more, have a little more heat in that back part. But if you think about it, that's because, remember, that's where all the heat is coming from. So I will, if necessary, I'll never rotate my trays up or down. If necessary, you just kind of rotate them front to back. So you go in, have your tray, front to back. So you get that back and front even heating. So whoever asked that question, I hope you're out there and you heard that. And if you have any other questions on your heating in the oven, call us, let us know. We can kind of work through that together. Okay. So that is our convection mode. This is what I use for multiple trays, but I like to use my convection for just a lot of things in general. It's kind of our go-to mode because we know how it cooks and we like how it cooks. And we really like that extra power and browning capability. And we like that things cook faster. The less time food spends in the oven cooking at high heats or however it's cooking, the actual more nutrients it will retain, the more texture it will retain. We want browning, but we want to retain texture. We want the flavor, but we want to maintain nutrients. So that convection mode is honestly probably all of our #1 used mode, even if we're just doing 1 tray of something. Okay, that's our convection mode. The next thing I want to mention before I get started on this broccoli, I wanted to mention the convection roast mode because we talked, and this maybe we'll utilize our camera here and kind of show you because we've got a lot of modes here. So it doesn't matter if you have the M series or the E series. This works both ways. We have the same modes on both ovens. Okay, so we've talked the bake mode, we've talked the convection mode, we've talked the roast mode, and now below you'll see a convection roast mode. If you have the M series with the knobs, you just have to turn the knob to convection roast or convection, whatever mode you want, okay? But this convection roast is unlike the other convection mode. It's not for even heating because you're not getting only heat from the back. The convection roast mode is going to utilize heat from the top heating element, the bottom heating element, and the fans in the back. So you've got all 4 heating elements on. That means your oven is going to cook a lot quicker. Your food is going to cook a lot quicker because you've got that more heat from the top, some from the bottom, but also now you're adding heat from the back and those fans are moving, so things are cooking faster. This is a fabulous mode for a lean cut of meat, something that needs to cook hot and fast. Something like a beef tenderloin where you want browning, but you don't want the inside to overcook, like a pork tenderloin, like a roast chicken. Those smaller, they're like 3-4 pounds. A smaller turkey, this is the mode you want for that. That extra speed, that extra power. If I know someone asked about roasting lamb, depending on what cut of lamb, if you're doing a rack of lamb, for instance, I would utilize the convection roast mode because we want more browning, but it cooks faster. If you're doing a whole leg of lamb and you want it to kind of cook a little slower, it's a lot bigger, I would utilize the roast mode, okay? So just think that way. Which mode is going to give me the end result that I want? This convection roast mode is also great if you want a tray of roasted vegetables. One tray, remember, it's not good for multiple because you won't get even heating, but they will brown a bit faster and cook a bit faster, and you're going to end up with slightly better texture, okay? That's why I like to utilize really, really hot temperatures, like 500 degrees, because I want to get as much browning without overcooking as possible, okay? So that's our convection roast mode. And again, like I said, if you have this oven, it works the same. This would work great. You just turn it to convection or convection roast or whichever other mode you wanted to utilize, okay? So that is our 4, I would say those are our 4 probably main modes. But now I'm going to talk to you about a mode I feel like is slightly underused, but is one of my favorite modes to use. As we've discussed and you've seen, I love cooking things hot and fast, getting in and out, being done with it, especially if you're making a quick weeknight dinner and you just don't really have the time. But also, I think you end up with really good flavor this way. So I've got a tray of broccoli here, and you guys might be thinking, okay, she's just going to roast those. We've seen roasted onions, we've seen cookies baking, but I'm actually going to do something maybe surprising to most people out there. I am going to broil these. This is not cooked broccoli. This is raw broccoli. I've just got some olive oil and salt, and I'm kind of going to massage that oil into all of the little florets and that seasoning into all of them so they're evenly coated, okay? And this is another very important part. I'm broiling. I'm guessing a lot of you out there don't use the broiler very often because it can go from good to bad real fast, okay? It can go from, okay, it's not even close to being cooked yet to, whoa, how did that burn? This is my trick, okay? You have to slice, if you're going to roast or cook any sort of vegetable under the broiler, you need to make sure that they are cut fairly thin. I think you guys can see that, okay? Instead of leaving large florets, I cut them down nice and thin. And that way we are going to get really beautiful browning, but the texture is actually going to be cooked through. It's not going to be raw broccoli still, okay? So I'm going to quickly rinse off my hands before I get this in the oven. But you can do this with truly almost any vegetable. I'll use my broiler to roast bell peppers and get that beautiful browning and charring on the outside of the pepper. I'm going to go broil, and I should mention, I'm going to use broil at the high level, okay? Because I want that browning, and these are sliced really thin. So all the Wolf broilers have the ability to be high, medium, or low, which is a fabulous, fabulous thing to have added to our ovens. You hit broil, and with this one, high, medium, low. 3 is high, which is what I want. Enter. 2 is medium, and 1 is low, okay? So we've got our broccoli in there. If you have the M series, it's very simple. You go to the broil mode, and then you can adjust low, medium, or high, okay? So with this, what I would say, if you are broiling your vegetables for the first time, use the medium level. It's going to do a great job, and it's a little bit more forgiving. You don't have to worry as much about things going from raw to burnt crisp as quickly. If you do this a lot like I do, and you feel confident in the high level, great. You can even utilize the low level for broil and leave the vegetables a little bit thicker, which is really cool. I also use my broiler for toast. It's a great way to make toast. I use my broiler if you want to cook a fillet of salmon hot and fast. Like we've said with fish, generally, if you're cooking at high temperatures, you might get a little more of that fishy smell, but it tastes good. If you have a really thick cut of salmon, like let's say 2 inches thick, I would move the level down to 1 or 2. If you've got a thin cut of, and I said salmon, but because we're cooking salmon, it could be any cut of meat that you're broiling, thinner, like 1 inch or thinner, 1.5 inches, you can do it on the high level if you're confident, okay? If you got a thicker cut, I would drop the levels down. If you like to do garlic bread, broil, but do it on medium or low. Give yourself that really nice control. With our broil, an important thing to note, you guys probably saw I obviously closed the oven door. A lot of times, if you're reading a recipe and they're telling you to broil, it will say, leave the oven open a crack. You don't do that with ours. They will work much more efficiently if it's closed all the way. You're gonna get the heat and power, and you get an even browning. That's the other reason I love our broiler, is because it's not just one strip that's getting really, really dark. The whole top surface of the oven it has a heating element that is gonna broil beautifully and evenly, okay? So I'm smelling the broccoli. I'm gonna turn the light on this oven, kind of keep track of it. Just gotta check on it a little bit, okay? And make sure that we're gonna get that beautifully cooked charred broccoli. Okay, any questions now on those modes? Those are our main modes, and now I'm gonna just briefly touch on a few of our, what I would call extras, the fun extras that you get with these Wolf ovens. I think is really fun. There is a proof mode. The proof mode, for those who don't know, is the rising portion of bread baking. So when yeast is getting active, doing its thing, starting to rise, the bread is doubling in size. But in order to get something to double quickly, instead of waiting in the winter, it's cold. We're in Utah, and it just snowed today. It's freezing cold. Usually a colder day, your yeast might take double the time to rise, just because it's cold, it's dormant, it doesn't want to get going. Yeast likes a warm, draft-free environment, and your oven is the perfect place for that. And our Wolf ovens have the ability, this proof mode, which goes all the way down to 90 degrees. Really, really nice, okay? So we've got that proof mode. There's also a warming level as well, if you just want to keep your food warm. I should mention on the knob one, what we've got, you want to turn your knob to more, okay? Once you get to more, you'll find all these extra modes that I'm talking about. From proof to the modes I'm about to talk about now. Dehydrate and stone, okay? So these are our other modes. You've got warm, you've got proof, you've got dehydrate. Dehydrate, you can literally dehydrate food in your oven. What you're gonna wanna do, and I can smell our broccoli, so I gotta keep checking on it. Looking gorgeous. What you're gonna wanna do is you just wanna crack your oven open a little bit, and your dehydrate mode is going to stay at a warm, lowish temperature between 140 and 170 degrees for hours and hours, however long you need, because dehydrating takes a long time. And you want to leave it open a crack so that all the moisture can escape out of your oven. You can get a dehydrate kit through Wolf. It comes with 3 racks that are very, very small because food shrinks as it dehydrates and all the air can circulate. It comes with a little stopper that keeps your oven open a crack, okay? Did we have a question? Are we good? Okay. Then, of course, there is the stone mode. The stone mode we love here. I don't want to say it's just for baking pizza because it's not, but it does such a good job with pizza. You'll end up with a truly, truly crispy bottom on your pizza, and it's going to cook very, very fast. So the Wolf stone mode, again, so I got to keep checking on these. We're broiling. It happens quick, guys. How beautiful these are starting to get. They're turned bright green, but I'm going to let these go a second longer because I want a little bit more browning. I like really nicely charred broccoli. I think broccoli tastes the best when it's really dark, okay? So we're gonna let that go, I'd say 1 or 2 more minutes, but I can't walk far away. That's the thing to remember with broil. Back to our stone mode. The Wolf stone mode is working really hard with heat from the bottom. You're going to actually keep those convection fans on so that things are cooking fast. The best pizza, the best way you can cook pizza is hot and fast so that your dough gets crispy and browned, but you end up with a little bit of softness still as well. And our stone mode is so effective. We'll bake pizzas in 5 minutes, easy, okay? However, there is one thing to note. You cannot use any pizza stone in your Wolf oven because it is too powerful. In your Wolf oven on the stone mode, it's too powerful, and it really, really has the capability to crack. All right, there we go. Perfect. See, it happens fast. These are gorgeous. We're going to pull out the broccoli. Were you keeping track with the cookies? Okay, good, because I was not. Thank you. Now we can turn our broil off. Our stone mode is too powerful. It can truly crack a stone that's not thick enough, strong enough, and heavy duty enough. So the Wolf stone is one of those things. The Dehydrate mode, you can probably buy other kits and they work great. The stone mode, you need to have the Wolf stone or you might be in trouble. Okay, it's going to work together in tangent with the stone, and it's going to build heat in the oven with the stone. We preheat it for 45 minutes to an hour on the stone mode at 550 degrees, as hot as it can go. And then we will literally put the pizza in, cook in 5 minutes, pull it out. And our stone, we're also going to, the reason we want to preheat it is all that heat is going to build in your oven, kind of get absorbed by the stone and re-emanate out and become something that feels more like 600, 650 degrees, just a lot hotter, which is good for our pizza. Okay, so that's our stone mode. It's fabulous. The stone kit comes with a pizza peel and a special rack, its own rack for the pizza, for the baked stone to sit on. Okay, that mode is also great for breads. You could do pitas. You could do, if you want really nice and crispy cookies, you do a lot of those things on there. You do not want to wash it. You don't want any water to absorb in there, so we just wipe it with a damp cloth when we're done. Okay, so that's our stone mode. We're almost through, guys. There's one more mode that I want to talk about, and that is our Gourmet. So the Gourmet, here we've got a button, again, on our M series with the knob. You just turn this to the Gourmet section, and it's going to follow a few steps here, okay? So with the Gourmet, if you don't want to know how to cook something and you don't feel like Googling, your oven is literally going to be able to do it for you. You don't have to think anymore. It's a smart oven, okay? You hit Gourmet, and whatever you might be cooking. And you know what? We're going to use the example of our cookies, okay? Remember, we just did 3 trays of cookies, and maybe you didn't take this class and you're not really sure how to utilize the convection effectively. Here, let's go to baked goods. Is it a cake? Is it cookies? Is it a pie? We're going to do cookies. Was it just 1 rack of cookies, or 2 racks, or 3 racks? Because that will change how you want to cook and the mode and the temperature. 3 racks, done. From there, your oven tells you what to do and selects the mode and temperature for you. You literally don't have to know anything. It tells you to wait for the oven to preheat because you want a hot oven with cookies. It tells you the rack positions you want the cookies at: 1, 3, and 5. And all of our racks are numbered on the side of the oven. 1 is at the bottom, 6 is at the top. And then you moved it down. So if you look here, it's right here along the side. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the top, okay? So you can adjust the racks easily according to what the oven tells you to do. And then by itself, the oven selects mode convection, and by itself, it selects temperature 325 degrees, and you hit start. Obviously, depending on your cookie, you want to enter a timer depending how long you need your cookies to go. So that is our Gourmet mode. As you saw, we're gonna go ahead and exit that. Whatever you're cooking, are we cooking a meat? Are we cooking a fish? Are we cooking a vegetable? You can select, and from there, do you want it roasted, baked potato, sweet potato? It will help you select everything on its own. Select the mode, select the temperature, tell you what rack position, and if it should be preheated or not. That Gourmet mode is a fabulous addition, I think, to any home kitchen where you just need a little bit of help, and it's going to save you the time of Googling, researching, or looking through your cookbooks. It's really, really nice. Okay. So that's our gourmet mode. That, my friends, is basically all of the oven modes in our electric wall ovens. If you have any other questions on the modes of the oven, please feel free to type them in. We will make sure to answer. But in the meantime, what I want to do, first of all, I've got to check on my salmon here. It's looking beautiful. I'm going to explain cleaning for you guys, and then I am going to show you how to build this beautiful little lunch. If you couldn't tell, we did a lot of different foods, and I'm going to put them all together into a little bowl, okay? Ooh, yeah, that salmon's looking great. I think it's done. Perfect, okay? I'm gonna pull the salmon out. And then right before, actually, I guess we may as well kind of get this, once we pull everything out, I'll plate it up after I talk about the cleaning, okay? I think I might throw that little guy under the broiler for a second to get nice and crispy. I want you guys to see how beautiful the salmon turned out. Yvonne will show you. And then I'm gonna go ahead and turn this broiler back on. So that gorgeous, cooked beautifully. And we're gonna do it on high again. Thank you. And we're gonna watch this close, but we wanna get that, now that we've got that beautiful flavor on the salmon, we wanna get that kind of caramelization, yummy little charring and browning on that sauce. Okay, so we'll watch it really close. I don't wanna cook the salmon anymore. I just wanna give it that browning, okay? And in the meantime, we're not gonna obviously forget about it, but I wanna show you, oh, you had a good angle, I'll put that back up. This is our kind of little cleaning tray. And I'm gonna go through a couple of the details in terms of cleaning. So the main thing to know is we don't, when I say we don't recommend, I mean like really, we don't recommend using Easy Off to clean the interior of your oven, the blue surface, a beautiful enameled blue that can easily become ruined if you use the Easy Off, and the chemicals can get in there and etch that coating, that enameled coating, okay? What we utilize the Easy Off for is cleaning the racks. So these racks actually, they are stainless steel, and they always get a little bit, you know, greasy, a little bit browned and baked on, and they seem impossible to clean until this trick we're gonna teach you. We utilize Easy Off. We pull the racks out, okay? And I do wanna show everyone, this is another tip I wanna show you. You've got the regular rack, slides out real easy. And then these glide racks, I know people sometimes have a really hard time getting them out. They think they're stuck. So I wanna explain how we get these out, because then you can clean them. There's little tabs in the front, and I like to lift those up, okay? Right along the sides. You'll see them when you go to your oven. And then I kind of pull forward, and I like to grab the whole rack so that it's not sliding around. It can be a little bit difficult. And then this will just literally pop out, okay? We take our racks and we then put them, like I said, we spray them and we put them in a big plastic baggie, leave it for a couple hours, and then everything kind of just rinses off the racks. I have to show you now how to put these back in because I know that stresses people out too. On the racks, there is this little kind of nook, and that you guys can see right there. That's where we want to put our rack back in. So you kind of get it caught on that nook, and then it just pushes right in. I can smell the salmon, so I got to grab that now. Oh my goodness, gorgeous. Got to show you guys how beautifully that worked. Beautifully round, okay? Awesome. I know, isn't that awesome? Really nice, quick way to do salmon, and it's a really delicious end product. Okay, so now the food's officially done. I'll go back to cleaning. So racks are out, showed you how to do that. We put these in a big garbage bag, spray Easy Off, leave it a few hours. All of that gunk wipes right off, okay? The inside of the oven. Now let's talk about how to clean that. If you want to use your clean mode, because yes, our ovens do have a clean mode that you need to take off, take all the racks out and take the side racks out. You don't want any stainless steel in your oven when you do the clean mode. The oven clean is so hot and so strong, it can hit the beautiful stainless and they will never glide or be pretty again, okay? So you need every bit of stainless out. The side racks pop right off. You don't have to unscrew anything, just pop them right out. You can clean those the same way we talked about these, okay? And then you're going to do the clean mode. It gets very, very hot and it should clean off, kind of char up anything in there. And then you can wipe it out after. If you don't want to use the clean mode and you kind of want to do a light cleaning, or you just don't like using a clean mode, this is our go-to recommendation, our keeper's friend. This will be your saving grace. This, we get the cream version. We think this is a much better way because you don't want the scratchy, what's that called? Powder. Yeah, the scratchy abrasive powder. We don't want that. We want the cream. And then you can use these Scotch Brite pads. They are non-abrasive, but they're really good. They're a little more heavy duty, so they're able to kind of help you scrape off any gunk or stuff that is stuck on. Okay, so that's what we will utilize for most spot cleaning on the sides, the back, the bottom. You can also, if you just need a quick clean, you can totally use water and vinegar. This is our own mixture we make here. Half water, half vinegar, and a cloth you can just wipe, okay? I would also say the glass, I wanted to mention, the glass on the front of your oven, we use the barkeeper's friend as well. So we clean it the same way we clean the interior of the oven. So that's like our main cleaning tips. I think that should cover it fairly easily. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not a lot of work to clean the ovens. Anyone who's cleaned an oven knows that, okay? But these are the safe products and process. I wanted to mention one more thing because I just thought of something that gets baked on. And when I say baked on, I mean if any of you out there have ever baked a pie and the juices have overflowed and got to the bottom of the oven and they're cooking for a really long time and those sugars just caramelize onto the bottom of the oven and burn. And it's really hard to get those off. Do not put tin foil in the bottom of your oven. If you try to protect your oven by putting tin foil or any sort of pan, anything on the bottom of your oven, you will ruin it. That tin foil will fuse to the oven and you'll never be able to get it off and you won't be covered under warranty, okay? So either you can put a tray on a bottom rack to catch anything, or if you got any of those juices caramelized to the bottom of the oven, take a razor blade. And you can use that razor blade to kind of chip away at any of that baked on sugar. And it does a really good job. You just have to be careful and it takes a little bit of time. That is the safest way to remove any burnt on caramelized bits or pieces on your oven. I think that was one of the more important things I wanted to mention. All the racks out for the oven clean, no tin foil, on nothing ever touching or on the bottom of your oven. Those things, you should be good. And we've kind of explained how to clean the rest of it. Okay, awesome. I think unless we have any questions about our cleaning, I'm gonna show you guys how to assemble our little, we call them Buddha bowls, but they're also just kind of, you can call them whatever you want really. Protein bowl, it's just a bowl of delicious foods for lunch, okay? What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start actually, earlier we cooked some rice in our steam oven. If you guys haven't, if anyone out there has a steam oven and you haven't watched any of our steam oven classes, we have a bunch of those saved on our YouTube channel that you can watch. And I talk about how to cook rice and everything else in the steam oven. But what I'm gonna do for our bowls, we've got rice I'm gonna put on the bottom. I love just good old plain white rice. You could utilize any grain in the bottom here. It's nice to do farro or polenta, or you could do brown rice, or you could do noodles, pasta, anything you want in the bottom, even sweet potatoes or regular potatoes. A great base for this. You kind of just want something a little bit carby, or at least we here want something carby, okay? And we like rice, so I've got a nice base of rice. And then I'm gonna take some of our gorgeous salmon, take this little end. And in this instance, I just remove the skin. We don't wanna eat the skin here. Kind of just helps protect our salmon from overcooking. Got a beautiful little piece of salmon there. And then you can add whatever vegetables you've cooked. If you have not, you don't like broccoli, don't add broccoli. You don't like red onions, don't add red onions. But I've got those. Let me grab our broccoli down here. You can add a nice little plop of broccoli in there. Get that green, get that nice flavor. And then this is where you can kind of have some fun if you want. You don't obviously have to. You don't have to do anything with these bowls. But kind of build your own, have fun with it. Here, I've made a couple extras. I've got some quick pickled cucumbers. Okay, so this I just pickle in some rice wine vinegar. And these are delicious, little cool, crunchy, a little vinegary to add to this mixture. I've got some toasted black sesame seeds. I like a little bit of that nuttiness over everything. And then, because we love spicy here, these are some quick pickled little Fresno chili peppers. I'm gonna put those right over the center. They're a gorgeous red color, and also add a nice little hit of spice if that's what you like. And then you can serve extra of that miso sauce on the side if you'd like, or you can drizzle it right over the top. I'm gonna give it one more quick stir just to give everything that nice, savory, salty, umami flavor. Served if you'd like also. This is how we serve, a little lime there. And that's kind of our fun little Buddha bowl with slow roasted miso salmon, charred broccoli, onions, and quick pickled cucumbers. That's the meal we made all together real quick. And then lastly, before we're done, of course, I have to show you how those cookies baked. They look gorgeous. And if you'll remember, oh good, they're not too hot. If you'll remember, we never rotated these, not once. And look how perfect and even these all cooked. They went in the oven at the same time because they probably took 8 minutes. What do you think? Yeah. 8 minutes. And so because they were so short and the oven was only at 325 degrees, we never even needed to rotate front to back. And ours turned out truly, really, really well. Okay, and we had a third pan somewhere, but I only have 2 hands. So that is our quick lunch showcasing the ovens, the modes, using most of them. And if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Please feel free to email us. We're really happy to help, and we want to make sure that everyone out there loves their appliances, is using their appliances to their full potential, and enjoying cooking in their own homes. So we're all here. We've got a YouTube channel. We've got these virtual classes, and you can call any of your local showrooms, no matter where you are in the US. You can call us, email us, and we're all happy to assist and help in any way that we can. But I think that's everything I have for you guys here. No more questions. We're good. I didn't have any questions. So awesome. Hopefully that means I did a good job answering everything you guys need. All right, everyone. Have a good one and a happy Wednesday.